Hi guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called I'm a Fake Saintess, but the Gods Are Obsessed. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! Once again, Ariel's uneasiness returns as her maid Annie observes and even brings up the fact that Ariel forgot Annie's name 2 days ago. Annie urges that she call a priest for her because if Ariel does not recover, she would lose the opportunity to meet the Crown Prince on his birthday. She gets out of bed and convinces Annie that she's alright, then asks her to bring her breakfast. After Annie leaves her room, Ariel sighs and attempts to make sense of what is happening to her. Her stunning face and body belong to Ariel, a 17-year-old with blonde hair and blue eyes, who appear in the novel The Return of Saint Camilla. This is a novel that she has already read where the protagonist, the noble Saint Camilla, is pursued by 3 dashing men from diverse backgrounds. Basically, a story about a reverse harem. And the most surprising part is that Camilla will end up marrying all 3 male leads. Oh my, the OGFL takes her blessings gracefully. It has only been 2 days since our girl transmigrated into Ariel's body. As far as she's aware, Ariel was born out of wedlock. Her father is a servant, and her mother is the daughter of a lowly baron. And from her birth, Ariel has been treated as if she didn't exist at all. The poor girl has been neglected her entire life, so she has been praying to the temple daily in the hopes that they will bless her with a chance to marry into a loving family. And one day, Rehas, one of the male leads, spots her, and they made a deal that she'll pretend to be a saintess for 2 years, in order for him as the Pope and the Crown Prince Kyle to maintain their political standing. In the story, despite knowing that Ariel would be discarded when she was no longer useful, she relied on Rehas, and as a result of her twisted love for Kyle, she became a greedy villainess who detested Camilla. When Ariel made her move towards stabbing Camilla, not 1, not 2, but 3 male leads quickly swung their swords, killing her before she could scream. Our girl was surely thrilled when she read this part of the novel, but now that she's in Ariel's position, the fear in her eyes is so visible as she desperately wants to live. She vividly recalls the sensation of dying from her past life, and she understands that once she dies as Ariel, there's no coming back. Her past isn't exactly stellar, as she was an illegitimate child of a wealthy family and had a miserable life. She eventually gathered enough money to escape her family, but tragically, she died within a year of achieving her freedom. So comparing her past life to her current one as Ariel, she believes that becoming a fake saintess isn't that bad given that she transmigrated at a time when Ariel hadn't yet turned wicked. Thus, Ariel is prepared to gladly let Camilla take over when the time comes, while she will leave and will have a small business. With a smile on her face, she embraces her new identity as Ariel without hesitation. Oh wow, that's so unlikely for a transmigrated girl. Suddenly, a blue message box appears with a statement stating that the board deities are fascinated by how well she adapts, which makes no sense to her, but it vanishes immediately after reading it. OMG, was that a system message? Her musings are interrupted when Pope Rehas himself enters the room and personally serves her meal. Since this is her first encounter with him, she makes the rookie mistake of addressing him by his name. His charm has the power to deactivate my brain too, so I get you, girl. However, even in the novel, only Camilla can address him by name, so Ariel hastily apologizes, but Rehas appears unconcerned and allows her to continue doing so. She understands that this is a line that she should not cross, and that guy is merely testing her, so she properly apologizes again. Rehas is known as a handsome and caring man, yet this mainly applies to the female lead, Camilla. His influence rivals that of the imperial family, and he's the only person in the temple who is aware that she's a fake saint, so she must take care not to irritate him. After a few days of diligent study, Ariel discovers that she's currently in the year 772, which leaves 5 years until Camilla makes her appearance. She is in the Elide Empire, a religious nation where monarchy and theocracy coexist, with over 99% of the population believing in gods. They have many temples around to worship different gods, and the Alium Temple, where Ariel is currently residing, is the only one that serves all 9 gods. Alium Temple is the most sacred since it houses the Saintess, who has a close connection with the 9 gods and who serves as the Empire's religious leader. Then, Ariel comes across a statement in the book that says that only the saint is able to receive prophecies, and that these messages will appear in the shape of a blue light square. Then her mind wanders to the actual Saint Camilla and recalls her ability to use holy power, but the story never mentions prophecies, so she dismisses her thoughts and she believes it has nothing to do with her because she's a fake. Girl, that messaging thingy was just a while ago, and it's an obvious sign that you might be a saintess. Anyhow, since the original Ariel was always broke, she starts organizing her retirement funds as part of her escape plan. Just as our darling girl starts to fantasize about purchasing a building, the system message returns, informing her that the bored gods are intrigued by her writing. The gods are bored and watching her on live stream? She has no idea why a system notification keeps popping up because, as far as she can tell, she's in a novel and not a game. Ariel tries to touch the blue box but is unable to do so. When Annie arrives, Ariel tests her to see whether she can see it as well, but it appears that it's only visible to her. Following that, Annie reluctantly informs Ariel that her brother is in debt and asks if she can assist, which does not seem appropriate for our girl here. Ariel has seen Annie's crafty grin as she asks for an increase in her allowance in her past life. The same smile she received from those who looked down on her and tried to take advantage of her wealthy family background. Ariel is sickened by the thought of those faces, but she keeps her cool and recalls that Ariel from the novel is a naive villainess, so she figures that Annie must have taken advantage of her. Ariel's gaze grows serious and she refuses to let this go, so she asks Annie how much she's been paying her and discovers that the original Ariel has been giving her 650 francs per month. Ariel sits boredly listening to Annie since she knows that a maid's wage is only 200 francs, and she finally snaps, her head resting on her hand like a baddie, giving Annie a nasty look and clearly stating that she will not be giving her any more money. Even if our girl is generous enough to hire Annie's brother, the situation escalates to a yell from Annie, who then furiously glares at Ariel. The arrogant maid goes so far as to threaten Ariel that she knows that she's just a fake saintess, and evilly smiles that she will tell everyone about her secret. And Ariel, being the girl boss that she is, gladly asks her to do so. Ariel now understands that the original Ariel may have been increasing Annie's allowance due to her blackmailing, but she messes with the wrong girl, who was once not a weakling rich kid. Ariel reveals that she'll be executed once everyone discovers she's a fake, but this is not the case for a maid who has been covering a false saintess, leaving Annie to tremble in fear. Ariel is still a noble, therefore she may be beheaded, but the Empire will certainly torture a mere maid. Then our girl boss gets to her feet and makes fun of Annie for being slow to tell anyone, all the while casting her a malicious smile, reminding her that she's now her partner in crime. I love her. The attitude is so on point. The maid, who had earlier believed she had the upper hand, is now groveling before Ariel, as she should be, apologizing, when Rehas storms into the room and instantly strikes Annie with his sword. Ariel stares there blankly as the Pope explains that they have no other options but to take out the maid because she knows her secret, which she believes is the correct thing to do because Annie will eventually reveal the truth at some point. Rehas then departs to have the place cleaned up, leaving the shivering Ariel alone, realizing that the Pope will most certainly kill her in the future without even letting her speak. She is now experiencing a panic attack as the bored god's notification box shows again, curious as to how she manages the situation. But what stands out the most is the notification that Ariel is almost ready to activate the prophecy function. Ooh, whatever that is, I'm ready! Meanwhile, Rehas is still reeling from the sight of Ariel's intelligence and cleverness, which poses the question of why she put up with the servant's mistreatment. He then goes to pray, but unlike the saintess, each priest worships a different god, and Rehas serves Monde, the deity of arts. Reliving Rehas' merciless slaying gives Ariel goosebumps, and she decides not to wait for the true saintess to arrive in 5 years. So she revises her funding plans and opts for a medium-sized building that would only take 3 years to save up. Unexpectedly, she hears a knock and finds Rehas there. Rehas is taken aback when Ariel formally greets him, so in response, he extends a similar greeting. As he looks over the table, he sees some notes, something our girl would never reveal because they contain her escape plan. Instead, she hands him the congratulatory speech for the Crown Prince's birthday tomorrow that the original Ariel actually wrote. She expects it will save her, but when Rehas reads it out loud, she gets embarrassed since it sounds too much like a love letter, prompting her to mentally scream at the original Ariel. The original is so innocent and cute, though. After reading the letter, Rehas looks at Ariel and asks whether she loves the Crown Prince, which she instantly rejects, claiming that it is simply an idiomatic representation of how gods love humans. However, Rehas still appears to dislike the letter since the Crown Prince may misinterpret it. But Ariel is confident that this would never happen. However, it is still a letter she cannot read in public, so she suggests rewriting it, and Rehas agrees with a smile. Ariel is now browsing around the temple's library looking for references for her congratulatory letter when she notices a trainee priestess being harassed by a nobleman. The perv man continues to hit on the trainee, asking if she wants to have a drink with him, which makes the girl really uncomfortable, until our baddie saintess steps in and orders the aristocrat to move out of the way. I love it when she's in her Miss Ma'am baddie mode. She then discovers that this pervy named Hans is the son of Baron Racefield, a family she feels is not well known, yet he has the guts to smirk and threatens to report her to the temple for her nasty attitude. He really doesn't know who he's talking to. Ariel then points out how being banned by the Elium Temple is equivalent to being banished from high society, which Hans misinterprets as Ariel intending to tell the saintess to banish him. Ariel moves closer to the perv, claiming she doesn't have to, and then pulls him by the lips, revealing that she is the saintess. That was such a power move, Miss Ma'am. Ariel releases him and quickly disinfects her hand, while the man, who has just realized he had offended the saintess, begins apologizing repeatedly. Ariel, on the other hand, does not want to hear an apology from him, so she instructs the nobleman to apologize to the real victim, the trainee, which he promptly does. After that, Ariel moves on to her main objective for the day, instructing the maid to collect her copies of congratulations speeches and imperial banquet etiquette. Just then, the blue box message shows again, and it appears that the bored gods are becoming increasingly intrigued by her sense of justice and will, causing the prophecy feature to be unlocked. She looks at the messages with no idea what they mean, and discovers that she is now on prophecy level 1, which can only house 3 gods: Odyssey, the deity of love, Hesed, the deity of wisdom, and Monde, the deity of arts, preventing the others from joining. It looks like a first-come, first-served group chat. Ariel is now digging into it and has finally accepted that the gods are watching her and that the box messages are prophecies. Ariel feels the prophecy message tone is becoming too loud and wonders if there's a way to disable the chat. Surprisingly, there is, but the 3 gods in the group chat are urging her not to, so she pushes the no button as if it were a game. She then wonders how she can use this prophecy if she isn't a saint. Then Hesed, the god of knowledge, shows her how powerful a prophecy is and performs assimilation on her. Ariel is filled with joy as the contents of 100 books start to pour into her head. She thinks this wealth of knowledge will make her life easy, but alas, she receives a notification that her prophecy level is too low to receive the assimilation from Hesed just yet. Hesed chooses to bless her instead, clearing her head, because she looks so dejected. Without wasting any time, she starts composing her congratulations speech after suddenly being able to comprehend the book's content. The prophecy has yet to make sense to Ariel, but she does know that Hesed's blessing has a 3-hour duration. The next day, Rehas enters her room and notices that Ariel has been studying. So to avoid appearing too different from the old Ariel, she pretends that she realizes she was too immature before and now wants to act like a saintess until he finds the real one. Rehas gives Ariel another deadly look and reminds her that it is pointless to think that way because here is her home, as if implying that Ariel will never be able to leave the temple alive. Then he smiles and wants to see Ariel's revised congratulatory speech. "You, mister, are giving villain vibes." Rehas is amazed to read her letter and compliments her on how good it is before discussing the ruckus that occurred in the library yesterday with the nobility pestering a trainee. Ariel smiles nervously as she says that she only intended to warn the guy, but she is shocked when Rehas discloses that he has banned not only Hans, but also his entire family. She begins to be afraid of Rehas again, but this fades as the notification bar comes again, with Hesed becoming concerned about Rehas as the god feels the Pope has a dirty heart. But Monde attempts to defend the guy who is devoted to him, believing that Rehas' charm compensates for his impurities. Ariel looks so dismayed as she reads the two bickering on the chat. After Rehas assumes Ariel is sick due to the way she looks, the latter swiftly counters, saying that she is only thinking about how decisive he is. He looks at her shocked as she goes on to say that his decision could not have been simple to make, considering the people involved in the temple. Rehas is aware that the priests regard him as a tyrant, but this is the first time he has heard someone commend his decision. While Ariel merely grins, since she has always believed that he was a fair-minded, righteous pope. She's actually being sincere about this because in the novel, despite the crown prince's need for a fake saintess for political gain, Rehas wishes to reassure the people who were concerned about a lack of a saintess. He may have been frightening to Ariel, who became a villain, but he is a strong supporter of Camilla. Rehas leaves, and his thoughts are distracted by Ariel's sudden change. Even though he has never been interested in her before, he is now drawn to Ariel's blue eyes and her wide smile. He is still sus for me. Just then, Haynes, the high priest, comes into his room, outraged that Rehas has expelled a believer without asking him. Not just anyone, but the entire Raysfield family. But he stops ranting when Rehas points out to him that the true reason for their banishment is that he knows the noble is doing filthy deals with corrupt priests at their temple. Rehas then states that the Ares mine is currently flowing with dark energy, and while he does not explicitly state that Haynas is one of the corrupt priests, his tone tells it all, and he gives Haynas a second chance while smiling, telling him that he must investigate the situation himself. Presently, the trainee priestess Daisy has knelt before Ariel, intent on serving her side by side. Even though Daisy wants to pay Ariel back for her kindness, Ariel decides to scare her instead by telling her the story of Annie, who was executed not too long ago for being too chatty, and that she might soon follow in her footsteps. To Ariel's amazement, though, the trainee is eager to continue serving her after hearing her story. Daisy explains that she's an orphan who has spent her entire life asking nobles for mercy when they harass her. But suddenly, Ariel shows up and becomes her light. She then gives Ariel the nicest smile and expresses a genuine desire to devote her life to serving her, which surprises Ariel and pushes her to take Daisy in. New ally acquired. Duane, captain of the Second Order of Holy Knights, introduces himself to Ariel as her escort to the Imperial Palace for the Crown Prince's birthday banquet. As the Saintess makes her way through the streets in her carriage, she witnesses the overwhelming adoration of the people since she is known to be the representative of the gods. She simply sighs and chooses to play around with the gods to see if they are real, and Hesed, who enjoys bragging, unleashes a lightning bolt to prove it. The chat box grows quiet, and Ariel guesses that these gods are upset because she doubts them, which makes her giggle but puzzles them. Ariel then smiles now that she finds out the gods cannot read her mind. Arriving at the banquet, Ariel is surprised by the strong stares she receives from the guests. Still, she carries herself with confidence as she was immune to this thanks to her past life experiences. Her past family was rich. She walks boldly like a real saintess while the aristocracy bows before her. Then she faces the Emperor, Rahen Jensen Elide, and his second wife, the Empress, Rose Michaela Elide. And the man standing next to the Emperor, holding his long sword at his waist, is none other than Crown Prince Kyle Alexis Elide, the handsome birthday boy. She is aware that the Crown Prince does not have a close relationship with the original Ariel, but she cannot believe he's not hiding his distaste for her even on his birthday. Putting that aside, Ariel then proceeds to chant the congratulatory speech she had prepared for him, fulfilling her role as Saintess. Then, raising her hand in prayer, she asks that the god of destruction, Ciel, whom the Crown Prince serves, and all the other gods bestow their blessings on him. Her hand is waiting for the Crown Prince, so she looks up and notices him glaring, but the two of them have no choice but to make a show of her kissing his hand. Immediately following that, there's a deafening explosion, and Kyle hurriedly positions himself in front of her, perhaps trying to shield her from danger. They all then witness that it was lightning that struck the first Emperor's statue. Ariel looks at the broken ceiling and immediately suspects Hesed, who is now explaining that he only pretended to throw a lightning bolt. Hesed hissed at that kiss, lol. The notification screen appears, indicating that Hesed is now depressed, while Monde clicks his tongue at Hesed for causing a scene, giving Ariel a headache. Why do I think that these gods are children? Ariel then hears the nobles claim that the lightning is a bad omen, and they all believe that it means the Empire will crumble when the Crown Prince ascends the throne. The Empress then chooses to use the chance to insult the Crown Prince as well, claiming that the gods must be dissatisfied with him. Ariel is getting chills with this problematic family, but it does not make sense that the second wife and the Crown Prince are not getting along. However, her utmost concern is that the incident occurred right after her speech, raising the chances that Kyle will resent her more now. So our smart girl gets to her feet, hands in a praying position, and joyfully breaks the news that Ciel blessed the Crown Prince with lightning. The guests are being lifted up by her remarks, and they all continue to celebrate as Ariel exits the banquet hall, looking worn out. Now that she has completed her duties, she is ready to return home when the handsome Crown Prince appears, angrily looks at her, and asks her not to leave. No matter how bewildered Ariel is by the Crown Prince's behavior, she manages to ask him calmly if he needs anything from her. But he then asks her if she's trying to leave, acting as though her work is not yet done and complaining that she's acting differently. Well, the real reason Kyle stops her is because he hopes that Ariel will remember that she needs to explain something, which only serves to further confuse her. He shows her multiple letters and clarifies that he is referring to the proposal letter she gave him, and that he is aware of her obsession, but had no expectation that she'd be so daring as to write him such a letter. Now that Ariel knows what the real Ariel did, she starts to freak out. But she collects herself, thinks of an excuse, and finally tells him that the letter was a mistake, nervously explaining that she must have written it and sent it to him while drunk. She apologizes with a sorrowful voice, hoping he'll forgive her, but the prince says the letter was too detailed to be a mistake. The prince approaches Ariel, lifts her chin to tell her how shocked he is that the letter detailed her fantasies towards him, the type of love she hopes they can have, and the joy she will feel if he accepts her proposal. Oh gosh, the original Ariel must have sent him a rated 18 love letter! As he moves closer, he teases the tomato red Ariel if she still doesn't remember any of those details, until she starts to freak out and blame the real Ariel. In her sincere remorse for the trouble she caused the prince, including the letter, Ariel begs him to put everything behind him and accept her blessing today as an apology. However, the prince takes offense to this and becomes even more agitated, believing that Ariel is mocking his emotions. In a furious outburst, he grabs Ariel's hand and declares that her letter has kept him up at night. This guy really blushes while ranting until a bolt of lightning flashes nearby, causing him to pause. In response, Ariel acts quickly, seizes the letters from him, and dashes towards her carriage. She is finally away from the enraged prince, and she expresses her gratitude to Hesed for the lightning bolt, which helped her escape. I love Hesed. The memory of the prince's flushed face makes her blush too, causing her to start ripping the SPG letter. The prince seems better than Rehas, I think. Now that she believes things are growing more unexpected and risky, she is determined not to waste any time preparing for her escape. Ariel answers Sir Dwayne's questions about why she is in an auction house today with a simple smile, and the explanation that it is the will of the gods, when in reality, she just wants to buy items and sell them with the help of the god of art. Monde has promised to help Ariel recognize when a fine piece is available, so she is certain of her victory and is now smiling so evilly. When the auctioneer displays a dagger, she can see on the notification screen that Monde examines it carefully. And when he points at the dagger, she lifts her number and places a bid, becoming the owner of the dagger. Ariel then visits the largest merchant organization in the Empire, the Lloyd Group, shortly after the auction. She recalls that one of the three male leads, Cass Lloyd, is the group's heir and is the only one who has no connection to Ariel. Upon greeting her, she tells the appraiser right away that she wants to sell something and gives him the dagger to evaluate. Although he doesn't think it's worth much at first, after checking it, he declares that it is a fine piece because it contains a high concentration of dragon bones and offers to give her 300 francs. After they shake hands and Ariel seals the deal, the notification message appears informing her that she has successfully unlocked Shop in the system. The following morning, Daisy is overjoyed to share the news that she has finished her 5-day training program to serve her. And with a flush on her face, Daisy reassures Ariel that she can trust her with anything and promises to do her absolute best. So when Ariel asks her to bring her some biscuits and a cup of apple tea, Daisy immediately and cheerfully follows her, letting Ariel realize that having someone like a younger sister by her side isn't so bad after all. Daisy is like a cute puppy. Now that she's alone, Ariel decides to finally test the new shop function in the message box, so she commands the system to open the store, and a new window appears before her, allowing her to buy items much like in a game. She is excited about what it is capable of, so she scrolls, and it appears that it requires money so she can purchase goods, and the currency is in the same reality. She then chooses to click yes on a dialogue box, stating that she will be rewarded for unlocking the shop, and a so-called almighty pocket appears in front of her. She ponders for a moment before realizing something. So to put it to the test, she places actual money inside the almighty pocket, which becomes her shop money. She notices that the purse is as light as air, even after putting money in it, so she decides to use it as a piggy bank. She then receives another pop-up message from the gods, who have chosen to give her a hidden mission, to prove her faith by giving up all her money in her almighty pocket. Ariel snaps and starts yelling at the three gods, saying that they're being overly harsh. but they all just choose to stay quiet. Ariel is furious, but she acknowledges that the gods keep watch over her like a guardian, so she wants to believe that this hidden mission is not malicious. So she accepts the task, and the unfortunate girl loses her savings just like that. Well, good choice, Ariel, because now the three gods have come to an agreement that, as a reward, they will release your divine power. She is enveloped by a gentle embrace of light and breeze, and she can almost feel the warmth radiating from within. After that, 3 more notifications appear, stating that the 3 gods have blessed her to congratulate her on unleashing her divine power. Her mind has become clear thanks to Hesed, and she can now perceive how tacky the decorations are thanks to Monde, but she cannot feel the blessing from Odyssey, the god of love. Ariel simply smiles, feeling that Odyssey's blessing did not work since she does not understand what love is. Everything is amazing, but it is becoming troubling since, while priests and saints can wield holy power, divine power is on a different level. It is a godly power that may be used eternally, and only one person in history possessed it, Vergarita, the first saintess. She is adamant that she is a fake and must move aside for the true saint, thus, she does not wish to wield such incredible power. She is so preoccupied with it that she fails to notice that it is Rehas asking whether she's okay, so she responds casually. Ariel hastily apologizes, but is taken aback when Rehas blushes and says she may treat him more casually from now on. Of course, Ariel refuses, but Rehas appears to want to get closer to her, so he requests that she at least call him by his name, which confuses her and makes her wonder whether he is drunk. She then looks at his face closely and notices that he's actually blushing. OMG, he looks cute here! She feels defeated, so she tries calling him Pope Rehas, but he wants her to remove the Pope part, which makes Ariel uneasy because it doesn't seem right. When Rehas sees that she's becoming defensive, he hides his face and tells her to forget what he said. He proceeds to tell Ariel that he was simply going to say hello, but that he's feeling weird now, and he comes closer to Ariel, expressing that he misses her. I am a sucker for blushing guys. Thankfully, Ariel maintains her composure while Rehas clenches his fist and makes up his mind to leave. Afterwards, a notice box shows up and Ariel finds out that Odyssey's blessing for her appears to have worked on Rehas, but he fought it off because of his strong mentality. Hesed believes the Crown Prince is superior. However, Monde is quite biased and thinks highly of Rehas' muscles. This Monde god surely loves looks. Daisy then enters her room with snacks in hand, but as soon as she meets Ariel's gaze, the priestess blushes and declares her love for our girl. Uh-oh, Odyssey's blessing is kind of dangerous. Meanwhile, Rehas stands before Monde's statue, acknowledging that he has affections for Ariel, and he prays to the god to guide his sinful flesh, or else he will not hold back any longer, while evilly smirking. Ugh, he's giving me the creeps again. As Ariel strolls through the garden, Daisy begins to tell her that she's become rather famous among the trainee priestesses. They are all curious about Ariel now that they know she serves her, and Daisy assures Ariel that she doesn't tell them anything. Daisy is frightened that Ariel will hear stories and believe she's spreading them, but Ariel assures her with a smile that she trusts her and that she shouldn't be worried. Our girl has already assumed the others are saying negative things about her in the temple, which she believes is normal given that when her divine power was unleashed, all she did was go to the temple library and devise a strategy to fill her purse with money. A saintess is a revered figure in a religious nation. She holds a high position in the temple and is just as powerful as the imperial family. However, Ariel missed most of the formal events, claiming to be ill, and she is not as powerful as the previous saints. Nevertheless, she is confident that Rehas will handle any issues that may come up. She smiles at Daisy and tells her that she doesn't care what people think of her, so she doesn't have to worry about herself either. Daisy sobs and apologizes for saying something foolish, but something interrupts their conversation. She hears something behind the bush and discovers a blue wing, a rare bird that is severely injured, trying desperately to flap its wings but failing. Ariel raises and caresses the bird in hopes that it may survive a little longer, while Daisy notices how she sparkles, full of divine power. Suddenly, the bird recovers and is able to expand its wings as it takes off. A notification box pops up, announcing that she has a reward for using her powers for the first time. But Daisy interrupts Ariel, who is still awestruck from witnessing her healing powers. To fully heal someone, even the most skilled priests require lengthy prayers. But Ariel miraculously healed the bird without speaking a word. Daisy looks so amazed, prompting Ariel to become serious and tell her that she must not tell anyone about it. Ariel has been acting in the manner in which she believes the story will unfold, but if her divine powers lead the story to change, she'll be forced to play the role of a saintess and ultimately defy fate. And that is exactly what Ariel does not want. All she wants is to spend her life in peace. The thought of battling Camilla for the part and the weight of responsibility is too much for her, I guess. After Daisy promises not to tell anyone, Ariel smiles and invites her to the Rose Garden. However, our girl here is unaware that Rehas and Cass are actually in the Rose Garden having tea. It looks like Rehas' hunting dog was the one who bit the blue wing, who's actually Cass's pet. Why, hi there, handsome. Rehas then expresses his gratitude to Cass for delivering him white flower rotunias, which the Empire is also having difficulty finding due to the weather. Cass wants the Pope to accept his gesture in good faith since, as the heir to the Lloyd merchant group, the temple will be a huge aid to them during the upcoming Ilium festival. Just then, though Cass does not appear startled, the blue wing that they know was bitten lands on his shoulder, appearing more alive than ever, and he guesses that a priest healed it. The unexpected meeting at the garden catches both Rehas and Ariel off guard, which our girl is attempting to avoid, so she takes advantage of Rehas' company to swiftly go. However, this blonde Pope wants the opposite, so he initiates a discussion with her before she leaves, forcing Ariel to stop and greet him. After they have properly greeted each other, Rehas introduces her to Marquess Cass Lloyd, which is strange because Cass and Ariel never met in the novel. Her thoughts are interrupted by the simp Pope, who believes Ariel has come to the Rose Garden to see him, which leads him to blush. Ariel swiftly says that she and Daisy were just walking when, thankfully, a man interrupts their conversation to alert the Pope that there's a problem with the construction of the West Building. Rehas has no choice but to go so he may check the building, which is a perfect chance for Ariel to leave as well, but she misses out when Cass cuts her off and offers to keep her company till Rehas returns. They are now alone, and the silence between them is so deafening that Ariel believes being with Cass is more uncomfortable than being with Rehas. That said, she decides to depart when the bluebird lands on her shoulder and gives her such affection. Ariel cutely caresses the bird while explaining that they had a brief interaction earlier, but is shocked when Cass reveals that the bird she's touching is trained not to approach someone who isn't its owner. And that's when Ariel discovers that Cass is the owner of the blue bird. But what really gets her is when Cass nonchalantly says that he assumed the bird had died. In the novel, Cass shows no emotion whatsoever, not even when he stabs Ariel with his sword. In short, this handsome man's heart is as cold as ice. When Cass tells her that he has left the bird since it was worthless and half dead, she loses it and lectures him for treating life poorly. She goes on to tell him that he should have ended the bird's life himself rather than leaving it to suffer. Ariel is about to depart when Cass unexpectedly says that they will meet again soon. Now that she's back in her room, Ariel can't stop wondering what Cass meant when he claimed they'd meet again. Handling the other male leads was challenging enough. Now she finds herself dealing with Cass on top of that. Just then, a notification box appears reminding her of her reward for using her divine power. After Ariel presses the yes button, a new window opens, letting her know that she has progressed to Prophecy Level 2, and that they can now add another deity to their group chat. The lucky god is Ciel, the god of destruction, who is overjoyed and immediately blesses Ariel. So taken aback by her sudden surge of strength, she decides to put it to the test by holding her chair, but it has no effect. The chair, though, breaks in half the second she releases her grip, leaving her so startled that she starts to question whether she's still in a romance novel. This is now action, dear. Ariel has been keeping herself busy for days by reading books, and thanks to Hesed, she can read a dozen every day. She needs knowledge to survive once she escapes, and now that she has divine powers, she intends to use and disguise herself as a healer for living. The blessings that she receives from the gods are lacking since they only last 3 hours and can only be used once every day. She hasn't used Ciel's blessing on anyone yet, but she can already see how helpful it will be for her safety, so she thanks the god, making him blush. The god of destruction is a cutie. However, the original 3 are starting to feel envious, so Ariel decides to shower them with compliments too, making them so happy and flooding the chat. Daisy then knocks to alert her that she is a guest, who happens to be the Crown Prince. Remembering Kyle gives Ariel shivers, so she pretends to cough and asks Daisy to inform the Crown Prince that she would be unable to meet him due to sickness. But she's too late, as the gorgeous prince appears in her room. Ariel allows Kyle into the garden, and she notices that Kyle is acting strangely since he is supposed to hate her. Meanwhile, her chat room audience is becoming quite rowdy. Monde is keeping a careful eye. Hesed is preparing another lightning bolt while Ciel is trying to stop him, and Odyssey is simply over the moon. They are so chaotic, so Ariel decides to turn off the prophecy function for a moment when the Crown Prince finally reveals that he has come to warn her. Dwayne is now reporting back to Rehas how the Saintess defended the Crown Prince during the banquet, and even declared that the god had blessed him. Hearing this makes Rehas sigh, as he is now certain that Ariel is in love with the Crown Prince. However, the news that the Crown Prince came to meet Ariel and is now with the Saintess astounds him so much that his gaze cannot even cover his displeasure. Smells like obsession to me. Ariel finds out that Kyle is trying to warn her because after the banquet, Kyle discovered that the Empress's younger brother, Alberto Michael, is now secretly communicating with someone in the temple. He is convinced that this person is trying to spy on Ariel, and if they find out she's fake, the Empress can use it to bring him down politically. Ariel believes the Empress is investigating her since she supported Kyle on his birthday, and is now suspecting she's on his side. Ariel is now quietly freaking out because she doesn't remember reading this in the original novel, and Kyle also never visited Ariel. With the plot twists and turns, she fears it could be dangerous. Ariel wants to know if Kyle has any information regarding the spy. However, Kyle finds out that Alberto is currently on the hunt for that individual. It appears that the mole's disappearance has left Alberto acting erratically. This could be a positive thing, but Kyle believes it is not yet time to celebrate, so he wants Ariel to contact him if she finds anything suspicious. Ariel suddenly asks Kyle for a favor, stating that she only has one wish, that he promised to spare her life. She reminds him that she's doing her best for his and the Pope's political stability, and that in order for her to be motivated, she wants him to pledge that he will spare her life. This confuses the Crown Prince, but seeing how serious Ariel is, he swears not to kill her as long as she won't betray him, which makes Ariel relieved enough to smile and thank him. But then Kyle starts to get close to her, bringing up the subject of her proposal letters, wondering about Ariel's thoughts when she expresses her love for him on paper. Asking if her letter was a lie, he tucks a lock of Ariel's hair behind her ear, this time with an adoring rather than angry tone. Their closeness makes her anxious, and she tries to explain herself when she hears a voice cutting her off. Rehas appears from behind, reminding the Crown Prince of his appointment with him and demanding an explanation for why he's with the Saintess. Despite Ariel's attempts to ease the tension between the two men, Rehas remains adamant that, despite being the Empire's Crown Prince, her holiness belongs to the temple and forbids the Crown Prince from meeting Ariel for personal reasons. Kyle confronts Rehas with a barrage of questions about the Pope's authority to oversee the saint, but Rehas haughtily responds by claiming that, ever since his birthday party, some nobles loyal to the Empress are keeping a watch on the Saintess and the temple. In his wrath, the Crown Prince swung his sword at Rehas' neck, and he then proceeded to tell him that he could not stand arrogant people like him. He then states that he came to warn Ariel and discuss the disagreement they had at the banquet. Just like that, the Pope reverts back to his cheerful look, which results in the prince keeping his sword as well. As Ariel watches the two men, she begins to fear for her life and considers escaping the temple with Monde's assistance. Yes, buy and sell team, let's go! However, her plans are thwarted when Rehas interrupts, saying that Ariel should rest because she must be exhausted while he stays to speak with the Crown Prince. As she rests in her room, she feels exhausted and confused about what happened with the two men. Daisy is surprised, expecting she'll be in a good mood after seeing the Crown Prince, whom she likes. Hearing Daisy's comment causes Ariel to react and demand to know where Daisy got the idea that she's head over heels for the Crown Prince. She discovers that the real Ariel used to be open about her affections for the Crown Prince. She now understands why Rehas asked her before about her affection for the Crown Prince, and why he tried to defend her earlier. After considering all the circumstances, Ariel decides to change her image, and since Daisy knows many trainee priestesses, she gives her the go-ahead to spread the word that Ariel, the Saintess of the Allium Temple, has no interest in dating or getting married. Daisy is confused and is pushed to start spreading the rumors right away. Lying in bed, Ariel is certain that she will not fall to either Kyle or Rehas, as she refuses to die like Ariel did in the novel. Instead, she intends to concentrate on escaping the temple alive and leading a secure, wealthy life. While Ariel sleeps, she is awakened by the sound of two blabbering kids who keep wailing that their server will crash because the gods are throwing tantrums because of her. Oh right, she turned off the chat. No wonder it's so quiet. Our girl here doesn't understand why these adorable, powerful-looking kids are telling her that their server is about to collapse. After that, the kids blush and give her a piece of paper, asking her to sign it before they tell her anything. She signs it, and the kids are so overjoyed that they start planning how to frame it. They simply want her autograph. I thought it was a contract or something. They go on to say that Ariel is, in fact, her spirit form, temporarily inside the system space. Ariel then discovers that these children's names are Ren and Van, and that they are beings who were once part of the first gods that are now administrators who help the system, and the very beings who transported Ariel's spirit to the novel world. At this opportunity, Ariel vents her frustration over the gods' obsession with her. She complains that the prophecy function sends too many notifications and that she feels constantly monitored, which is really irritating. However, these cute administrators are unable to explain why the gods have a fascination with her and insist that they must focus on the larger issue. Regarding the issue at hand, Ariel is utterly startled when all of a sudden, thunderbolts continue to strike. Then she finds out that the gods have gone insane and are harming the system, all because she disabled the group chat. The administrators inform her that she's the only one who possesses the ability to turn the chat off, and that once she does so, the gods will be unable to see her. Normally, the gods would simply become disinterested and leave the prophecy room. However, this time, they're all taking action by destroying the system as a kind of protest because Ariel's live stream stopped. These gods need their tea. They have just started the deactivation process without understanding how clever Ariel is, who is now beaming sweetly, demanding they answer her questions, or else she will not activate the prophecy room. The administrators are taken aback by Ariel's actions, as possessing a prophetic chamber is truly a blessing. Ariel sees it as a blessing and a curse, so she asks one last time, appearing sneaky, whether they plan to strike a deal. These adorable admins look so defeated. After some time, Ariel joyfully goes back to the human world and activates the chat room once again. Just as soon as she does, the four gods abruptly swarm the chat, missing her so much. Plus, Hesed collects the thunderbolts he was going to launch, so it's clear he's the one taunting the admins. She then explains that she disabled the chat to protect her privacy, which confuses the gods. So she pulls her special card by making a blushing face to avoid getting into trouble. The best manipulator is over here. Odyssey has become intrigued. The actual god of destruction, Ciel, is looking away. Monde is making products with Ariel's shy expression, and Hesed is nodding since he believes it is normal for her age. I love them. Ariel feels that her justification is working, so she adds that she will now deactivate the chat when she takes a shower or uses the restroom. Even so, she promises to keep the chat available for the most part, so they shouldn't freak out if it's down for a while. She specifically tells my fave god, Hesed, to cease hurling bolts when upset. Poor Hesed nods in the chat, but Odyssey is still upset about her decision, which Ariel expected, and has prepared a counterattack. She presents them the bracelet she created to express her gratitude for their efforts. They suddenly vanish from her hand, and the chat floods again as they adore her gift. Ariel smiles as her goal to appease the gods is successful, and she believes Ren and Van are at ease now. Speaking of the admins, when Ariel was still in the system space, she asked them why they chose her to be transmigrated into Ariel's body, but she received little information that they did not choose her at their own will. Instead, she asks if she's actually inside a novel, which confuses both admins. So she describes the plot and adds that it's a romance novel with very little demon-related content. Ren and Van become concerned, and while they're unable to provide specifics, they explain that the novel she read was most likely a prophecy book from this world, and because it made no reference of the demon world, they are confident that the novel is only the first half of the book. Ariel begins to worry that if it's a prophecy, she would die as in the book. But she feels relieved when the administrator explains that because she is not the actual Ariel and her soul is from a different world, her fate is also changing. The administrators were unable to provide her with any further information and left. Today, Ariel is with Sir Dwayne, and they are on their way to the Lloyd merchant store to sell the stuff she purchased at the auction. From everything she purchased thanks to Monde, she is confident that the garnet necklace will bring her a fortune. Upon entering the store, they overhear a furious customer attempting to trade costly jewelry for Chronia. but the appraiser insists that they cannot give her Chronia because it's an illegal item. Dwayne adds that it is a plant meant to treat pain, but some people treat it as a drug. The customer storms out of the store, running into Ariel, who knows her as the Empress's head maid. After the girl has left, Cass appears, shocking Ariel. Cass smiles since he never expected the Saintess to show up and sell stuff. He also learns from the store staff that she is their repeat customer who has sold an item before, and he had no idea she was the Saint. To ease her condition, Ariel tells them that she needs to get some air and that those items aren't useful to her, therefore she's selling them. A garnet necklace catches Cass's eye. He lifts it and asks if she's selling it as well. She quickly responds that she is and that it belongs to her, fearing that if word spreads that she's buying things at an auction and selling them to a merchant group, she'll be in trouble, so she chooses to say an alibi. Cass Lloyd decides to buy the necklace for himself for 10,000 francs, stunning them with his offer. But the store's staff soon notifies him that the jewelry is only worth 600 francs, leaving Ariel bewildered as to why he would pay such a hefty amount. Ariel then informs them that she has changed her mind and will not be selling the necklace, and she requests that the store staff appraise the other 3 items, which perplexes Dwayne because he believes Cass Lloyd is offering a good price. But she is adamant that she will not be selling the necklace because she suspects there is something wrong with it. And would you look at that? Cass laughs as he grabs Ariel's hand and gives her back the necklace. He's a cutie when he smiles. He then proceeds to explain that he wanted to draw her closer to him by using the item, but she seems to have noticed. He continues by saying that the necklace is a stolen item from the imperial family, a valuable piece that the late Empress received as a gift from the Empress Dowager. Lloyd then wonders where she obtained the necklace and advises her not to sell it or dispose of it covertly if she doesn't want to deal with the consequences. So he was trying to help our girl. After returning to the temple, Ariel screams at Monde about picking up a stolen item and calculating her spending for the day. She spent 900 francs on 4 goods and only earned 300 francs. And the worst part is that she drew Cass's attention, which is a major concern. When she checks her cash on hand, she realizes that it is inefficient to buy a house or leave the temple. She sighs and is shocked to see Rehas in her room. The story revolved around 3 male protagonists: Crown Prince Kyle Alexis Elide, a heartless swordsman who grew more possessive of Camilla; Cass Lloyd, a businessman who placed a capitalist value on people but was also brave and willing to do whatever it took to win Camilla over; and Rehas Diel, the Pope, a devoted priest who hoped for Camilla's eventual happiness. There are 2 things that all of these people have in common, though. First, they will all fall head over heels for Camilla, and second, none of them care about Ariel, the false saint. As long as she keeps her act, Ariel feels confident she may live a tranquil life without getting noticed by them. Yet Rehas gives her a terrifying look when he asks whether she plans to leave the temple. With a smile on her face, Ariel denies his claims and tells him that she is thinking of buying a villa to be her own refuge. Rehas agrees with her after a little delay, and he playfully suggests that the 2 of them can use her villa to themselves, shocking our girl's poor heart. He gives her permission to go out, but he intends to assign additional guards as she is special. And while playing with her hair, Rehas declares that he cannot bear the thought of anyone hurting her. Something is wrong, she realizes as he walks away, for he has never acted that way before. On the night before the festival, Ariel is among the many people out and about. Accompanying her is Daisy, who appears incredibly thrilled as they explore the area. Ariel can't help but believe that this is the kind of carefree life she dreams of living. Now Daisy thinks about the Pope, who would be enraged if he discovered that Ariel had slipped away, but she brushes it off, reasoning that he is now busy with guests, and furthermore, that she is in disguise so no one would mistake her for a saintess. At that very moment, Ariel spots 2 men tailing them and decides to lure them to a quiet area, causing Daisy to freak out. However, Ariel reassures her that she has something she could use in this kind of scenario. During the Allium Rose Festival, anybody can enjoy the temple's flower garden for a week, and legend has it that the person you meet there will be your lover. Because of this, some guys approached our 2 lovely ladies, and some really just couldn't take no. These 2 filthy guys are excited to follow our girls down a quiet alley, but well, Ariel smirks since they've just taken her bait. She approaches one of the perverts and finally puts Ciel's blessing into action, so with her innocent smile, she flicks his forehead and sends him flying. His worried friend tries to wake him up, but Ariel wins with a KO. That man would need an ambulance if she hadn't practiced controlling Ciel's blessing, so she's pleased she did. But Ariel is taken aback when the chubby pervert sprints towards her with a knife in hand, but he quickly falls to the ground when Cass's flying dagger pierces his hand. Mr. Gorgeous kicks the pervy in the face, leading him to run off immediately. When Cass realizes that the Saintess is unguarded by any holy knights, he reaches out his hand and offers to be Ariel's escort for the night. They are now taking a leisurely stroll through the busy town, but Ariel and Cass are on their own because Daisy misread the signal and left her with a wink. Cass immediately pulls Ariel closer to him, fearing she will run into the children, making our girl blush. But she soon moves away, claiming that she thinks it is unsafe for children to roam the town alone. But she is shocked when Cass points out to her that those children are orphans. He goes on to say that those children will either become thieves, or if they're fortunate enough, join merchant guilds and run errands for them. In their world, one cannot join society unless they believe in the gods. However, Cass notes that, similar into the Crown Prince's office a few days earlier at the Imperial Palace, asking him how long he plans to do nothing now that the Empress is expecting a child, and reminding him that it is his responsibility as the successor to the throne. He then brings up the fact that he declined Duke Hemmingson's daughter's proposal and turned down Saint Ariel, leading Shane to conclude that Kyle must be into men, making Kyle so upset and leave. Remember the love letter the original Ariel sent him a few months ago, where she detailed her nightly dreams about him, her desires, and even mentioned that she was thinking of marrying him? This infuriates Kyle, as he finds it hard to believe that a fake saint could harbor such strong feelings for him. However, When he encountered her again on his birthday, she had undergone a noticeable transformation from the Ariel he had previously known. There was a constant elegance in her eyes, and her movements exuded grace. The same could be said of her manner of speaking, as if she is a real saintess. He started to wonder whether she had been pretending to be ignorant and hiding her intelligence the entire time. Then he started imagining Ariel's face looking so beautiful, and he had to smack himself as he couldn't believe he had thought of her that way. Someone is falling. Back to the present, he offers her a new job because Ariel has nowhere to go if she quits the temple, leading her to believe that he is convinced about her becoming a homeless wanderer. So she assures him that she's preparing to live her own life after leaving the temple, and declines his offer. Kyle sighs, hoping to persuade her without scaring her. He goes on to clarify that when he tells her that the Empress is keeping an eye on her, he means that she can vanish without a trace once she leaves the temple. This is because the Empress will do whatever it takes to expose his flaws. So Ariel should accept his offer, as he can assure her that no one can harm her while she's under his care. Ariel stops for a moment before asking for some time to reflect, and he advises her to think carefully and that he will return to her the next day. In her room, she sighs, devastated. She fears an imminent attack if she leaves the temple unprepared, yet she maintains her faith in the god's support and plans to acquire some useful artifacts to help her. But how can she refuse Kyle's offer without facing any consequences? Today, Ariel is in a good mood after exiting the merchant store, as she now has enough cash on hand, believing it should be sufficient to purchase a holy artifact that can protect her and help her stand on her own 2 feet. If she is to survive Kyle's proposal, she must quickly leave the temple and become independent. Suddenly, a horse lunges at her, nearly hitting her before leaving the scene, but she identifies the rider as Alberto Michael, the Empress's younger brother. She then overhears people discussing the boy who was hit by the horse, and then she realizes the boy has no hope of surviving. She rushes towards the mob. As she passes through, she is astounded to discover the boy laying in his own blood. She then instructs Sir Dwayne to retrieve a stretcher and transport the boy to the nearest inn. However, Dwayne hesitates, which makes our girl yell at him to follow her orders, leading Dwayne to comply. Our girl grew up as an illegitimate child of an affluent family in her past life, where she was often the target of criticism and scorn. As a result, she became a monster in their eyes because she punished people back tenfold when they tried to hurt her, as this was her only means of avoiding being abused. She sounds like a ruthless baddie, but probably exhausted. However, things have changed now. She has the power to help someone live life, so inside the room, she proceeds to try healing the boy. She doesn't care if this blows her cover because she knows the struggle to survive. Makes me love her more. Light then begins to shine in the room, and she finds joy in seeing the poor boy gradually heal. However, she suddenly feels a pain in her stomach, which leads Ariel to assume that the boy's suffering has been transferred to her, and she realizes that helping someone is more difficult than she anticipated. Even though her hand is trembling from the pain, she keeps her focus, and the little boy gasps for air as he realizes he's alive. Ariel is the first person he sees, explaining that she saved him with the power of the gods, and while cleaning the blood from his face, Ariel discovers that this child is a 10-year-old working for the Thief Guild. In the novel, the Thief Guild is a well-known guild where all types of information about the Empire is exchanged. Given that Ariel must leave the temple soon, this is her chance to uncover information about the Empress and her brother in order to protect herself, and this child is her key to collecting that information. She starts to make deals with the kid, offering to pay him if he works for her. Despite the fact that the child must trust her because she saved his life, she wants to make sure he's reliable. So she assigns him the task of finding out more about the Empress's garnet necklace, which she is currently in possession of. She then commands him to sneak to the temple in 3 days with the information, which the child readily accepts. After they have finished discussing their partnership, Ariel opens the window and asks the child to use it to secretly escape because the Holy Knights are waiting outside the door, to which the child agrees and gives her an innocent smile, thanking Ariel for saving his life. When Dwayne opens the door, he is surprised to see the filthy bed full of blood, but the child is nowhere to be found. Ariel just responds that as the kid regained consciousness, he escaped, and she doesn't waste time asking Dwayne not to tell Rehas what happened, because she knows this person is loyal to the priest. Instead, she simply asks Dwayne to clean up the mess before heading back to the temple. But when Ariel returns home, she finds a scar on her belly and immediately assumes it has something to do with her divine power. Notifications start flashing up, stating that she has shown her faith and that the scar is her stigma. a mark of divine power that only saints manifest, so she isn't entirely mistaken. Ariel is losing her sanity as she tries to convince herself that she is simply a fake saint, when she receives a notification that she has reached level 3, which means another god can join the group chat, and that lucky god is Oman, the god of kindness. However, it appears that the presence of the god of kindness is going to cause quite a stir in the chat room, especially with Hesed accusing Oman of having the worst personality, and Ciel even growling at the newcomer. Ariel gets confused when the group chat suddenly goes silent, until a notification appears stating that Hesed is temporarily unable to move. Ciel has fallen asleep with tears in his eyes, and Oman is all hearty loving Ariel's group chat while winking at her. God of kindness, my foot! Meanwhile, just as Ariel expected, Sir Dwayne scaredly informs Rehas about how Ariel took a dying child to an inn. But while he assumed she was merely praying for the child to die gently, things turned strange when the kid disappeared. Dwayne makes Ariel sound like a witch or like she ate a kid. However, unlike Dwayne, Rehas sees this case differently and believes that Ariel must have healed the child, which Dwayne finds difficult to accept because even the first saint, reputed to have the greatest holy power, required at least an hour to revive someone. Back to Ariel, she feels excited to learn that additional products are now available in the shop function, especially since she has recently leveled up. She looks into the holy items recommended by the gods, and this new god, Oman, has the strangest item called the Whip of Oman, which can force any man to obey her if she speaks a command while wielding it. However, what catches Ariel's interest is a bracelet of Hesed, which could protect her body, so she buys it because it is less expensive than the others, leaving Hesed satisfied, while Oman decides to drop the price of her whip in case Ariel still wants it. This new god is built differently. Just then, Rehas enters her room, beaming, and invites her for a stroll. When they get into the garden full of white rotunias, Ariel marvels at how beautiful they are shimmering at night, which makes Rehas flinch and prompts him to tell her the legend of the white rotunia. A long time ago, there was a fairy named Rotunia and a man who loved her. However, the fairy was in love with someone else, so the guy made a request to the devil to make the fairy his. The very next day, he found Rotunia entangled in the ivy, her wings destroyed and unable to fly, and he held her captive. However, the fairy never smiled again, prompting the man to plead with the devil for another chance to bring the fairy's smile back. The following morning, the ivy entangled the fairy's lover, poisoning him to death. When she saw this, the fairy chose to smile at the man who had captured her for the first and last time. This man had never seen a smile so mesmerizing until Rotunia kissed her beloved's poisoned lips and died with him. Ariel is confused as why Rotunia continued to smile, so Rehas explains that it was the fairy's way of punishing the guy, who will spend the rest of his life longing to see her smile again. White roses bloomed where Rotunia died, and the guy died there while still grieving for her, which is why Rotunia flowers are known as destructive love. Ariel is upset with how the story ends and adds that it is not love but obsession, prompting Rehas to look at her and declare that truly longing for someone seems like love to him. He then brushes her hair, wondering if he will ever aim to keep someone, even if it means clipping their wings. Will she detest him? The whip. We need the whip. Or my boy Hassad can throw thunderbolts now! The Pope then lets go, explaining that it's only a what if before changing the topic, and holding her shoulder to make the case that only those with heavenly power can see the light of a Rotunia. He then asks her how she recognizes the glow when she's a fake, which makes our girl cry inside because she's been studying to avoid situations like this, but she never imagined she'd have to study flowers too. She then makes an excuse about seeing glowing Rotunia in her dreams, which is why she ends up stating that they're shining under the moonlight. But Rehas can tell she's bluffing, so she makes the daring decision to have Rehas test her with the Holy Power Tester. After staring at her for a while, Rehas decides to get her tested tomorrow and then leaves. When Ariel returns to her room, she uses her charms to ask the gods if someone can break the power tester in the temple's annex tomorrow morning. She further entices them by promising that whoever completes the task will be her savior forever, and she begins to beg in a sweet manner, prompting the gods to gather for a serious meeting. After what seems like an eternity of silence in the group chat, our girl gives up and begins to frown, believing that the gods must find her request extremely difficult to fulfill, as they show no signs of wanting to reach out. After deciding to worry about it tomorrow, she goes to bed. However, the following morning, Daisy wakes her up with an incredibly anxious scream and informs her that the entire annex has been destroyed. It seems like they were simply discussing how to put the plan into action throughout the meeting. And I'm here to defend the gods. It's Ariel's fault for being unclear. The annex is in ruins when Ariel gets there. She finds out that it collapsed the night before, fortunately without harming anyone. Then the notification appears, with Hesed sounding proud for playing the most important role in destroying the building, Oman whipping her signature whip, and Odyssey claiming that all of the gods deserve the title of Lifetime Savior, causing Ariel to scream so loudly that the priests around her are confused. Your wish is their command. And more. The Pope then approaches her and explains the entire situation that happened last night. As expected, lightning bolts were struck, but this time an earthquake hit just around the annex. Meteorites crashed down, plus water pipes burst, flooding the entire area. And to top it all off, the entire annex sank into the ground, burying the artifacts, including the Holy Tester. So it will take some time to excavate them all. Now our girl understands how serious the God's serious meeting was yesterday. They really went overboard for her. Rehas then suspects a 9th class mage is responsible for the incident and is considering asking Baron Vester to look into the matter, which makes Ariel flinch since, in the novel, Diego Vester is the most powerful mage and the most troublesome villain. Despite being a baron, he is one of the dukes who rule the demon world. Driven by Camilla's jealousy, Ariel made a contract with Diego in exchange for her soul in the original story. But their attack on Camilla failed due to her protection by holy power and the 3 male leads. This all means that Ariel must avoid meeting Diego at all costs. So she tries to disagree with Rehas' plan, claiming that if Diego assists in catching the culprit, Rehas will have to make an official statement about it, revealing that the temple's annex was destroyed by a mage. Ariel adds that if this happens, the temple's reputation may suffer because people would believe that the temple's security is lacking, and that a mere magician could destroy their holy buildings, or worse, this may affect people's faith in the temple. Thankfully, this pope isn't prideful and considers Ariel's argument, so he'll have holy knights look into the situation instead. Smart move, but all she has to do is not be jealous and not enter into the contract, right? Anyway, today Ariel walks to the east side of the temple and recalls Daisy being so adamant about following her wherever she planned to go, when this Tiago Saintess arrives. Ariel was the only person who helped her, so even if Ariel refuses to take her, this cutie patootie says that she will still follow her, which makes Ariel sigh, but she can already imagine Daisy working for her. Just around the corner, the boy she once saved appears as she had instructed, and the kid begins reporting what happened to the necklace, claiming that it was sold at auction, which is correct because she purchased it there. With a smile on her face, Ariel confirms the child's credibility and gives him some money. This time, he is to find a person. That evening, Rehas enters Ariel's room, appearing vulnerable, to seek her opinion since the Saintess from Tiago will arrive in 2 weeks, and the Imperial Palace is requesting her to bless the Empress, who is presently pregnant. Ariel already knows where this is going, and that Rehas has come to ask if she should go as the Saintess or if they should wait for the Saintess from Tiago. She then readily states that she must go, and that this will be her final duty as the fake Saintess. Yet hearing her say this causes Rehas to stare at her regretfully before resting his head on her shoulder and asking whether she still has feelings for the Crown Prince. Rehas smells of alcohol, which Ariel detects. He admits it and starts to murmur something about how he had made a nice spot for her to stay in the annex basement before the earthquake wrecked it. Confirmed, Rehas was building a Ray house. Oh, thank heavens for the gods. Rehas then expresses concern that he will be unable to protect her from Kyle. Excuse me, sir? You're the one who's dangerous here. Still, Ariel assures him that she is capable of protecting herself. Then, when she instructs him to rest already, he does so with the sweetest, most innocent smile imaginable, which makes Ariel blush too. Oh, Ariel, wake up! That man is a red flag, regardless of how charming he is. Meanwhile, the Empress Rose Elide can't wait for Ariel to come, because she knows she's a fake Saintess thanks to her younger brother Alberto, who used Annie to spy for him. She has arrived at the palace and finds it very glamorous, but she dismisses the thought since she needs to focus on her concerns, which are to earn more money to purchase the necessary holy item before Rehas can retrieve the Holy Tester. Now, she's inside the Empress's room, and look who's there, the new Saintess from Tiago. The Empress gives Ariel a smirk, explaining that they divert the carriage from Tiago to the palace because she really needs a Saintess's blessing. However, as the Empress fixes her gaze on Ariel, she claims that there's another reason why she brings both saints, and that is to reveal a heinous crime. But she suddenly winces in agony, causing the Emperor to become concerned about her well-being. Based on the Empress's behavior, Ariel determines that it is her go-to strategy for launching an attack. But our girl seems composed despite this, and just notices Kyle's extreme irritation on the side. Out of nowhere, Alberto Michael takes the stage to speak out for her sister, who is currently experiencing the effects of pregnancy. Ariel is furious at this guy as he was the one who hit and ran a child. Alberto then accuses Ariel of being a fake saintess, causing the Emperor to react. But the Empress steps in to support her brother and turns to Ariel, mentioning Annie's name, referring to the maid who served her at the temple, which causes Ariel to flinch. Next, the Empress discloses that Annie informed Alberto about Ariel's crime. And to prove this, Alberto exposes evidence that Ariel has been paying Annie in exchange for her silence. Alberto adds that the maid also claimed that the Crown Prince is an accomplice, prompting Kyle to finally break his silence and state firmly that Alberto better be ready to face the consequences of his words, causing Alberto to shudder and seek the Emperor's protection like a kid. However, the Emperor dismisses him and inquires if Ariel has any input on the matter, who looks so annoyed by all of this and finds it unbelievable that the brother of the Empress is calling her a fake saint based on the hazy writings of an unhappy maid. Slay, Queen! Alberto Michael launches into a tirade about how Ariel has the audacity to lie in the presence of the true saint. However, he flinches when Ariel challenges him to provide evidence that Saint Tina is the real saint, and asks if he has completed testing her divine power. In response, he declared that Saint Tina had miraculously healed a deer with a broken leg and given sight to a blind man. He also asserts that numerous people in Tiago have witnessed her miracles, while he begins to diminish Ariel's abilities by claiming that she consistently used her poor health as an excuse to hide herself. Ariel then respectfully requests that the Emperor summon apothecaries to assist in identifying the fake saint, leading the Empress to get restless. The Emperor fulfills Ariel's request, prompting Alberto to warn the Emperor that Ariel might be deceiving them. However, the Emperor gives him a hard look and wonders why he is reacting oddly, making Ariel quietly chuckle as she observes the family drama and claims that it's time for her to turn the tables. Ariel instructs the apothecaries to close the curtains, emphasizing the importance of using a rotunia flower to expose the fake saint. She informs him that white rotunia flowers emit a radiant glow that is only visible to those with holy power, which the apothecaries can confirm. If the saint from Tiago truly possesses the holy power, she should be able to perceive it. Saint Tina promptly affirms this, and Ariel smirks, convinced that Saint Tina has taken the bait. Ariel initially finds it strange because in the novel, Camilla is a woman from Aries with beautiful white blonde hair. However, the woman in front of her bears no resemblance to the real saint, prompting her to conclude that she too is a fake. Ariel asks the apothecaries if they can prepare rotunia and white snake root teas, which look like rotunia but are deadly and fatal within seconds. So whoever chooses the wrong tea should be brave enough to drink it. Although she knows Tina could definitely detect the shine of a rotunia because of her limited holy power, Ariel smiles evilly as if she has something up her sleeve. To prevent eye signaling, the Emperor orders the apothecaries to properly prepare the two teas before leaving the chamber, while Alberto must decide where to place the two teacups. The two saints would cover their noses with linen and use their eyes to identify rotunia tea. Ariel lets Saint Tina choose first, but Tina gets stuck when none of the teas glow, leading her to yell, claiming that none of the teas is rotunia. This is our girl's cue to lift the rotunia-filled teacup and sip it quietly, surprising them all. Many people are unaware that after a rotunia flower is plucked, it loses its glow. And who else can help our girl distinguish between such things? Monde, the god of aesthetics, of course. Tina is now freaking out and looks to Alberto for assistance, claiming that this is not what they discussed together. But this nasty guy quickly forces her to drink the tea, preventing her from saying anything that could expose him. Fortunately, Kyle is able to push Alberto away before Tina can drink it all, while the Emperor can only sigh as he watches the mess, so he orders the fake saintess to leave the room. Following this, the Emperor fixes his threatening gaze on Alberto, whom he commands to apologize to Saint Ariel, which he complies. He is now kneeling, pleading for forgiveness, but Ariel, who has just watched him attempt to kill another human, looks at him with disgust, so she pokes his cheek in response, which is similar to having someone punch him in the face, making his mouth bleed. No, this isn't from CL. If it was, he'd be brain dead by now. So today's payback comes from our god of kindness, Oman. After that, the Emperor apologizes to her, which she accepts. However, what surprises her is the Emperor's blessing for both her and his son Kyle, with the hope that the two will continue to grow closer. Daddy is shipping the two. Ariel, who we all know loves her money, does not object when the Emperor instructs her to wait before leaving because he wants to give her gifts. Ariel is now in the carriage with Kyle, who is beginning to believe that she isn't a fake anymore. But our girl doesn't care and simply reminds him that he should be grateful that she helped. Kyle then closes the distance between them, saying that he will not let anyone hurt her. But Ariel quickly turns away, saying that she can protect herself. This prompts the man to grab her face and turn it in his direction, saying that her attitude is making him more interested in her, so he plans to return to the temple soon. Arriving at the temple first, Rehas knows that Ariel was able to expose the Tiago girl for what she really is, a fake, which makes him ponder if Ariel is actually a saint. They never give our girl a break. Ariel then firmly states that what she did at the Imperial Palace was trickery, but Rehas finds it difficult to believe. So instead of having her explain it, he touches the sphere-like item he's been holding, which begins to shine, implying that it is the Holy Power Tester. Rehas teases Ariel for going silent, assuming he has finally cornered her. But our girl appears confident as she calmly touches the tester. He is then surprised that it does not light up like it did when he first touched it, proving that Ariel doesn't have holy power. Well, the truth is, she almost got caught. But thanks to the treasure the Emperor gave her, she was able to purchase the Holy Pendant, which can seal away any power within the person wearing it. After this, Rehas admits that he never cared if she left the temple because she was a fake. But now the thought of her leaving breaks him. He looks at Ariel with a mix of love and sorrow on his face, admitting that his heart used to race only when he prayed, but now it races whenever he sees her. He starts hoping that Ariel could attain the status of a goddess or an actual saintess. Seeing Rehas like this reminds Ariel of one of her favorite moments in the novel, when Rehas kissed Camilla's foot because, despite his intense love for her, she was a saintess, which means they can never be together, so all he could do was kiss her foot. Not wanting the scene to fade away, Ariel rejects Rehas and firmly tells him that he will forget her and fall in love with the actual saintess once she appears. Rehas holds his chest and delicately looks away, feeling so hurt by how she's pushing him away. This nearly wins Ariel, and well, me over. Him blushing got me, but no, this guy is a creepy, manipulative, obsessive pope, okay? Let's continue. Thankfully, Ariel is on the same page as me, and when she recovers from her trance, she declares her intention to depart from the temple immediately, warning Rehas not to get too attached to her before walking away. Suddenly, Ariel is startled by the sound of someone desperately calling for help. Reacting quickly, she rushes towards the source, only to be confronted with a heart-wrenching sight. Daisy is on the ground, bleeding heavily despite the healing powers of the priests. Who dared touch our loyal Daisy? Ariel then notices a piece of blood-stained paper with a message stating that this is their revenge. But she instantly turns to Daisy, who, despite dying, calls Ariel to warn her to be careful. As she holds the pendant around her neck, Ariel's pulse races as she hears the other priests become frantic and yell that Daisy's wound is too severe. If she reveals her powers now, she will never be able to leave the temple. But her memories of Daisy, who is always smiling and genuine about staying by her side, drive Ariel to grit her teeth and remove the necklace to heal her. She had better pick up that necklace later or get a refund. Anyway, Ariel touches Daisy's wound and it begins to shine while she feels the throbbing pain transfer to her. But she doesn't care because Daisy was the first person to choose her. This realization of Daisy's importance makes Ariel beg the gods for help, unleashing her divine power in the process. Soon after that, Daisy awakens to find Ariel in tears, holding her face, which causes Daisy to become overwhelmed with emotion and also start crying. The two hug each other, and the people in the temple who had just witnessed a miracle begin cheering for the saintess. Her escape opportunity is over, but she saved her friend and my heart goes out to these two girls. However, Ariel's relief turns to fear when she hears Rehas's voice, who must be furious right now. So she stands up to try to explain, only to be shocked when Rehas kneels before her and kisses her foot. Her face is flushed right now, while Rehas's expression lacks any anger, and he just declares that she may have deceived him, but it is a life twist he can always be grateful for. Can this guy quit blushing? My heart and mind are fighting right now. Anyway, after the incident, Ariel takes a bath and feels worn out because the pain she experienced today was much worse than when she healed the child. Fortunately, she purchased the Hesed bracelet to protect her body. Her thoughts then turn to Daisy and the note, causing her to believe that Alberto and the Empress are to blame, which has enraged her to the point that she is plotting revenge. We'll see how her wicked persona from her past life influences her current one. Now, when she's in bed, she can't get any rest because her biggest worry right now is that Rehas has discovered she's a real saintess. Suddenly, the flushing face of Rehas comes to mind, turning her red and causing to cover her face. She doesn't know what to do now that everyone knows about her powers. The next day, Ariel visits a real estate office but is discriminated against by the owner, Hagen, who tells her that she must leave since they do not deal with clients below District 10, and even shoos her away, telling her she should return when she has cash in hand. Ariel read in the novel that the Elite Empire is divided into 15 districts. Districts 1 through 3 are for aristocrats, Districts 4 through 10 are for commoners, and districts below that are for the poor. So it's incredibly annoying to her that the shop employees don't treat her like a customer, not even as a decent human being, just because she's wearing a rundown hoodie at the moment. Just then, the door behind Ariel opens, and Hagen immediately adjusts his attitude like an obedient puppy when he recognizes the man as Cass Lloyd. Oh, my bias, where have you been? Hagen then orders that Ariel be removed from his shop, but joke's on you, racist, as my guy kisses Ariel's hand and greets her with a long time no see. As soon as Ariel takes off her hood, Hagen recognizes her as the one and only Saint Ariel. Cass is so quick that he helps her cover her visit by claiming that he knows she's looking for a site for the temple's relief work. So Ariel plays along and, to her dismay, claims that Hagen did not show her any buildings. That said, she plans to look for another realtor, while Cass loudly announces that he will donate to her relief operation, prompting Hagen to do the same. Now they're out on the streets, having conned the realtor into donating to their non-existent relief operation. Cass reassures her that the guy is fine, and she decides to split the money with him. Yet Cass just smiles and says he doesn't need it. Ariel then discovers that Cass has been following her since she left the temple. And no, my guy isn't a stalker. He simply happened to have business at the temple this morning and noticed Ariel leave in a hurry, appearing so distressed. He assumes it's because she's worn out from all the attention she's gotten for her divine powers, something Ariel doesn't deny. Cass then smiles, admitting that he has always suspected her of healing his blue-winged bird, but because she denied it, he assumed she was trying to hide her powers. So disclosing them only to save a priestess makes him wonder if it was all worth it. Ariel's mood shifts abruptly as she dislikes Cass's questioning of whether a person is worthy of life. So she explains that she didn't save Daisy out of friendship, but rather because she possesses the power to do so. Cass becomes surprised when Ariel adds that she would do the same if the person dying was him. Cass chuckles at the way she looks at things, and when he learns that she has no more business for the day, he gives her his warmest smile and asks her on a date. Yes, definitely a yes for me. He might have a cold heart, but that's not something our girl cannot meld, right? Cass uses the "instead of splitting the money, let's have tea together" tactic with our girl, making it impossible for her to say no. However, she doesn't mind because the desserts are delicious. He beams as she eats and comments that he has never seen anyone eat like her, which embarrasses our girl. So she annoys him and gives him a fork full of cake. In response to her complaints about her already tired arm, Cass grins and opens his mouth to accept the cake from Ariel. A smile spreads across his face as he admits that it is indeed yummy. Oh, look at how comfortable Ariel is when she's with him. Following that, Ariel confidently declares that she would pay for their meal because he's the reason she has extra money, which causes Cass to be amused and chuckle, as he should not have high hopes that his move will work on her. Ariel is taken aback by his smile because he is known to be a sociopath in the story. Girlie, you've changed him. Meanwhile, the Empress is now so furious at Alberto's failed plans, making the man sweat. But it appears that her younger brother still has a card up his sleeve, which is to invite the Saintess to the upcoming Imperial Hunting Festival so they can get rid of her there. Plus, to prove to us his involvement in the temple attack, he assures her that he has eliminated the assassin. Speaking of Ariel, Daisy is concerned for her because she may be in danger as a result of her, prompting Ariel to clarify that whoever hired the assassin is wealthy, and Daisy has no enemies who are highly wealthy, implying that they hurt Daisy in order to warn Ariel. However, Ariel assures her friend that she does not need to be worried because she has her own plans to exact revenge and find out who attacked her. The invitation to the hunting festival has reached the temple, and Rehas proposes to Ariel that they send a senior priest in her place. However, because Ariel is certain that the Empress is behind Daisy's attack, she thinks it's insulting that the Empress would dare to invite her, infuriating Ariel, who determines not to back down from whatever the cruel Empress has planned. So she sternly informs Rehas that she will attend the event, which the Pope has no problem with and agrees to. Following that, Ariel is initially shy when she opens the topic about her holy powers, but becomes very aggressive when she demands an increase from her allowance, which blows Rehas' mind. This is the first time in history that a saint asks for a raise while most reject it. But Rehas still grants her request, stating that she will now receive a raise as well as an additional allowance for every public appearance. I can hear the ka-ching coming. However, in exchange, Rehas wishes to play chess, and whoever loses must grant the winner's wish. Nah, this is certainly a trap set by this innocent-looking Pope. It has been days, and Ariel is now on the carriage bound for the festival. Yet, just thinking about her game with Rehas makes her sigh with relief. She had no idea how to play chess, but thanks to Hesed, she won and won't have to wear a choker around her neck. Excuse me? A choker? Well, when Rehas lost the game, he ended up wearing the choker he had prepared for Ariel, which made Monde pleased. Of course, Omen, who has a toy whip, and even the god of destruction Ciel blush. It was a custom-made choker that enabled him to track her every move. So as a punishment, he had to wear it while Rehas, who was becoming increasingly shy while wearing it, explained that he was only trying to protect her when she's outside. However, Ariel now regrets making him wear it, as she believes Rehas has developed a new kink since that day, and he has never taken it off despite her instructions. My gosh, this Pope! But on the positive side, this might make him more submissive to her, right? Anyway, enough of him. Ariel is now focusing her thoughts on the Empress, and despite the fact that she has no idea what she's after, Ariel is adamant that she would never bow down to her. Her worries are swiftly dispelled when she hears a knock and sees Cass out of the carriage window, bringing her an apple. Accepting the apple makes her really believe that Cass has changed and is no longer the self-centered sociopath. She then learns that he is participating in the hunting festival, which is more spectacular this year, attracting the nobles as they await the Empress's pregnancy news. Before the Empress revealed her pregnancy, most nobles supported Kyle for the throne, but despite his swordsmanship and political expertise, Kyle never engaged in political games. However, the Empress is different. The group that she formed around Count Michael gained more influence, and her opposition to Kyle as Crown Prince grew stronger. Ariel is still wondering when Cass informs her that everyone will be gathering to witness the Imperial house fight among themselves. When Cass notices her deep in thought, he redirects the conversation by inquiring about the Pope's absence and worrying about who will join her for the festivities. He instantly offers to walk her around the hunting grounds, but she declines, saying that the temple assigned the Holy Knights to escort her, which he has no choice but to accept. However, he becomes serious and begs her not to enter the hunting areas based on the information he received. Ariel quickly thanked him for his concern, and he assumed she knew, so he left, hoping to see her at the festival. I want more of them together! As the festival begins, Ariel remains vigilant, wondering when the Empress would act. She feels the Empress is up to something, and that summoning her to the festival so soon after the incident at the temple isn't a coincidence. Kyle then approaches her and asks her to bestow upon him the blessings of the deities, which she does. However, Ciel, the destruction deity, blesses her instead, making her react in a way Kyle notices. Kyle gets irritated and tells her that her thoughts have been wandering all day, making her unable to bless, and that she shouldn't have come if it makes her anxious, leading her to realize that this grumpy prince is worried about her. Meanwhile, behind them, the Emperor recognizes Kyle's affection for Ariel and expresses his desire to see them marry so that Kyle can complete his duty as the successor. This drives the Empress to propose giving them some privacy, claiming that her idea is perfect. The Emperor then suggests that Ariel join the hunt so that she and the Crown Prince can enjoy the celebration together, but Kyle insists that the forest is full of monsters and too dangerous. However, the Emperor simply tells him that he is the swordmaster. They'll be fine, so they may get to know each other. While Ariel believes that the Empress's plan is to persuade the Emperor to send her to the forest, she decides to play along and agrees. However, she tells them she can't reach the hunting grounds by carriage and suggests to ride Alberto's horse, letting Alberto take her carriage since he doesn't seem like a skilled horseman after the square incident. Let the game begin. Alberto is furious at the idea of Ariel using his horse and belittling his riding abilities. This prompts her to tell him about the time he hit and ran a powerless child. The streets were bustling with people, providing numerous witnesses, and she specifically brings up Dwayne's presence on that day. This is new information for the Emperor, making Alberto struggle to find an excuse, only to be interrupted by Ariel, who insists that he should ride in her carriage to ensure everyone's safety, especially now that there are a lot of nobles participating. Kyle then supports Ariel's suggestions and declares that he will undoubtedly watch Ariel closely, causing the Empress to become enraged. However, the Emperor also agrees with Ariel, informing Alberto that if he chooses to join the hunting festival, he must do so using Ariel's carriage. The Emperor then sees that Ariel's dress is inappropriate for horseback riding, and our girl's brilliant idea is to swap clothes with Alberto, leaving him with no other option. Alberto, or shall I say Alberta, is now inside Ariel's carriage looking pretty wearing the Saintess's dress, and is frustrated at how things turned when suddenly the path gets bumpy and he accidentally bites his own tongue. He even wears the accessories. Are you sure you're not liking it? After the carriage comes to a halt, he can't help but express his frustration to the driver before stepping out. An arrow, whizzing dangerously close to him, abruptly interrupts his moment of anger. The assassins then show up, calling him the Saintess thanks to his dress, and Alberta soon realizes that these are the assassins he had hired. He desperately attempts to explain that he is not Ariel, but he cannot since he has hurt his tongue, so the assassins carry out their task, making this man scream. Meanwhile, our girl is looking dashing with her suit, but this whole riding a horse is making her back ache, so Kyle jumps down from his horse, lifts her, and tells her to rest on a log with his cloak. Suddenly, an unusual sound causes their horses to get wild, causing Alberta's horse to go away because she forgot to tether it. Kyle advises her to stay behind him and not panic, but she's stunned when she sees a huge troll. As the troll launches its assault, the unexpected happens. It abruptly stops moving while Kyle just calmly sheathes his blazing sword, and the troll starts to break down into pieces. The scene is so gruesome that it makes Ariel sick to her stomach. She still can't believe she missed Kyle drawing his sword, but she now gets why Kyle is the best swordsman in the Empire. Kyle then turns to look at Ariel, telling her that people refer to him as a monster, and wondering whether she fears him as well, prompting our girl to stare directly into his eyes and remark that she isn't afraid of him, and is even thankful to have a powerful ally. After that, she encourages him to quit treating himself like a monster, and to let others gossip about him behind his back. After all, he is the crown prince, not a monster, which surprises Kyle and causes him to cutely crack a smile. Having been dubbed a monster herself in her past life, I can tell she means it when she says it. Now that's done, they have no choice but to use Kyle's horse because Alberto's horse got away, which makes these gods very happy. Well, except Monde. Ariel finds herself sitting sideways in front of Kyle and is already crying inside. But she isn't the only one who is uneasy because Kyle is trying not to react, but her hand is literally grabbing onto his thigh. As expected, the notification is chaotic. Ciel likes Kyle's build. Whipmaster Oman measures Kyle's thighs, and Hased praises how thick it is, making Ariel feel extremely embarrassed. She swiftly alters her position, and Kyle has his horse sprint so they can stop being awkward and reach the old stone she needs to purify. The chemistry, though. Ariel has no idea what this purifying thing is, but as soon as she touches the pillar, it glows, and the writing on it shines like stars. However, another result of the purification causes the entire area to rain. Fortunately, Kyle saw a cave not far from where they are and decides to seek shelter there for a while. When they arrive in the cave, Ariel shakes from the cold, prompting the always grumpy Kyle to drape his cloak around her and sit next to her, questioning why she has kept her powers all this time. She honestly tells him that it was only recently and that she does not consider herself a true saintess because she is still the same lazy Ariel he knows. But Kyle disagrees, stating that she has changed. Ariel glances away, claiming that she's just trying to live her life differently now. But their chat turns serious when she expresses one of her fears. She's worried that her actions will only make situations worse. Instead of throwing the typical, "you're gonna be fine" comfort, Kyle tells her that there's a chance her worry will come true, but that he will not judge her for her choices because her life is her own. However, he does remark that, for what it's worth, he prefers this version of Ariel, who is headstrong, and he gives her a comforting smile while looking so charming in that wet look. This is the first time she has ever opened herself to someone, so his words really resonate with her. But before Ariel has a chance to respond, a thunderbolt strikes outside the cave. They check and discover the lightning marks on the ground as Ariel's notification becomes quite active. Odyssey starts giving out popcorn. Monde, whose bias is the Pope, complains. Oman becomes very curious about what happened in the cave, and my best boy, God, Hesed, is proud of what he accomplished. Way to ruin their moment, but at least they didn't invade her privacy. They are now back at the barracks where they see Michael on a stretcher, prompting Kyle to note that the Empress must be frustrated right now, having lost 2 of her closest aides today, plus Michael, who does not appear to be doing well. Gosh, that guy really survived, huh? Ariel then questions whether Kyle was involved in the deaths of his aides, but Kyle only shrugs, making her annoyed, and hands him back his cape. However, before she enters her carriage, Kyle kisses her hand, causing our girl to blush on the way home. I like Kyle now, but we'll see. As soon as Ariel arrives home, she looks into the history of the hunting festivals and discovers that Mueller, Kyle's teacher, has been murdered at last year's festival by an arrow belonging to Baron Dmitri and his son. Kyle requested an investigation but was denied, and this year the Baron and his son happened to be the Empress's close aides who were killed, leading Ariel to believe Kyle is responsible. Knowing this, she realizes she has let her guard down around Kyle and nearly forgot he is one of the leads who killed Ariel in the story. So she recollects herself to stay vigilant when she hears a knock on the window and sees the little munchkin. He enters her room and reports what he discovered about the Chronia flower that the Empress's headmaid purchased, revealing that it comes from Deviamon, a black magic guild composed of powerful mages who frequently make secret deals with nobility. Ariel then learns that if she wants to check on the guild, she should head to the Magic Night Market, which takes place on the 1st of every month. Not only that, but this young boy discovered the assassin responsible for Daisy's attack, who is now severely injured after Alberto attempted to kill him. He's enraged and eager to provide evidence to her. This fills Ariel with joy, but she realizes she still doesn't know the name of her young worker. After the child introduces himself as Noah, Ariel breaks into a wide smile, hands him his money, and expresses her excitement about working together. This makes the child's cheeks turn as red as his hair, and he shyly admits that he would love to work with her as well. What a cutie! I wonder what this kid's backstory is. Following that, Ariel assigns him another task. Noah has to deliver her letter to the Crown Prince, which this child gladly takes. Then comes the night that the Deviamon Guild is supposed to be in the magical night market, and our girl bravely goes there alone. Because people at the market may be suspicious of her, she wears the ceiling necklace, and she has deactivated the group chat just in case. I don't think that's the right move, though. She pushes herself to be bold as she wanders along the underground market, and Hesed's bracelet boosts her confidence. Suddenly, she becomes horrified as a person calls out to her from behind, claiming that walking alone in the market is dangerous. As she turns around, she finds our cinnamon-loving, sometimes dangerous little informant Noah. Aw, he must have been worried about her. Noah boasts cutely that he will act as a tour guide and show her around the market, which makes Ariel smile and appreciates this young boy's initiative. Adopting this cutie is also an option, Missy. When they enter the market, she looks around and notices suspicious-looking mages and exotic products. But what draws her eye is the demon egg. The merchant explains that a demonic creature gains power by feeding on their owner's mana, and the egg Ariel notices is supposed to be of excellent quality. The man goes on to say that, unlike monsters that are just born to destroy, a demonic creature is intelligent, capable of communicating with its owners, and possesses special abilities. Even Noah believes the egg is of great quality, which persuades Ariel even more because she always wanted a puppy, so why not have a monster pet now? So she purchased it. Hopefully it hatches into something cute. When they get to the Deviamon Guild, Ariel confidently shows the guards an ancient coin she bought at the prophecy shop to trade so she can speak with the guildmaster. The guild member agrees to let her inside, but she asks Noah to return home. She assures him that she has a plan, but in reality, she can't bring a child inside for fear that Ciel's blessing won't be sufficient to protect both of them. As soon as Ariel enters the guild, a villainous-looking, gorgeous man faces her with a smile and asks what she wants, to which she frankly replies that she wants to buy Chronia. However, the man states that they do not sell such items, prompting Ariel to point out that the Empress herself has informed her about it. Hearing this, the man gets out of his chair and quickly uses magic to hypnotize our girl while asking for her identity. But his magic is useless to her because of her necklace. Still, she pretends to be Celestine and plays along. Still using his magic, he orders her to forget what the Empress has told her and to forget that she ever met him, before instructing her to leave. As she exits the market, Ariel beams with pride, knowing that her strategy had succeeded and that the Daviamon Guild would now undoubtedly brandish their swords against the Empress. She's really smart, and that guildmaster may be a possible main lead for our girl, right? If not, then why not? Why not? Anyways, after a few days, the Crown Prince captured my baby Noah and tied him up while he investigated why a Thief Guild member was working for the Saintess. No, sir, you better not hurt the kid. My poor baby looks terrified as he says that the Saintess only pays him to do strange tasks and nothing else. Kyle recognizes Noah's intelligence and offers him a job, stating that Noah must now work for him and monitor the Saintess's every action. In an effort to further lure the child, he boasts that the money in his pouch is greater than what he receives from the Saintess and could easily lift him out of poverty. But Noah refuses, claiming he cannot betray the Saintess. In response, Kyle threatens the child with a deadly stare and points his blade at his neck. After a determined refusal of Kyle's offer, Noah breaks free of his shackles. It seems that Kyle is only testing Noah's loyalty to the Saintess. Before heading out, Kyle smiles at Noah and says that if he ever wants to learn swordsmanship, he can come to him, prompting Noah to swiftly bow and show his appreciation. Phew, it was only a test, thank goodness, but Noah is very brave for a child. He didn't cry. Ariel is currently eating with Rehas, and this guy has no intention of removing the necklace around his neck. He's never questioned her before, but now he's genuinely intrigued. So he asks when the divine power manifested in her, to which she vaguely replies that it wasn't too long ago, and states that she never considers herself a true saint. Rehas does not press her further and understands that she has reasons for feeling that way. But he declares that whether she's real or not, the temple is her home, which stuns and melts Ariel's heart, causing her to stutter when she replies thank you. The atmosphere between them is awkward, so she changes the subject, asking if everything is ready for tomorrow, which makes Rehas nervous and asks if she really needs to go. But Ariel appears confident, saying that the invitation letter is from the Emperor himself, requesting blessings for the pregnant Empress, so she must go. Speaking of the Empress, she is now freaking out, denying all of the claims made by the Emperor after discovering that her maid has been purchasing chronia on her behalf. However, she goes mute when the Emperor says they uncovered proof in her room, where they discovered chronia leaves that cause the abdomen to expand. He also informs her that the temple has chosen to punish the Michael family and its members by expelling them from the church after discovering evidence that Alberto ordered the assassination of the Saintess. As the Emperor leaves her chamber, he informs the Empress that the Saintess will visit tomorrow to assess chronia and her unborn child's health. The Empress falls to her knees and is sure that this is all part of Ariel's plan. Our lovely girl and Sir Dwayne make their grand entrance into the palace the following day. But something is off about the atmosphere there. There are no nobility in sight and only rows of imperial knights, which indicates that the Emperor is clearly enraged. To begin, Ariel presents a gift in honor of the Empress's unborn child, a gemstone for the future prince. Speaking of the prince, Ariel looks around but doesn't see the crown prince anywhere, and the Emperor appears so disoriented that he is unable to answer Ariel, so the Empress simply explains that Kyle has other plans. The Empress gets to her feet and approaches Ariel, bringing up the fact that the Saintess had previously treated a badly wounded maid. As she reaches inside her sleeve for something, Dwayne and everyone else in the room fall to the floor. The Empress reveals her vial of poison, and while smirking evilly at Ariel, wonders if she can heal everyone at once. As a result of Ariel's collapse to the floor in a state of weakness, the Empress claims victory in their battle and starts to bring up how much she's always despised Ariel's control over the palace and the temple. Next, she raises Ariel's head to meet hers, and reveals her plot to fabricate a story about how the Crown Prince and the Saintess were so madly in love that they poisoned the Emperor and the Empress to death. However, the Empress miraculously survived because the baby in her womb gave his life so that his mother could continue living. Even though Ariel finds the Empress's scheme detestable, she inquires as to the status of the Crown Prince and finds out that Alberto has likely poisoned him by this point, knocking him unconscious. The Empress walks away from Ariel and announces that she'll clear her brother's name and get rid of the maid. But then she feels a chill go up her spine as she hears Ariel's stern voice correcting her, saying that Daisy is her priestess, not a maid. Time for some Uno reverse. At that point, Ariel grins and tells Dwayne to stop acting, which gets the man to stand up, and then he compliments Ariel on how frightening she is. All the while, Ariel smiles and tells him that it's nothing. Now, the time has come to dump this filth in the trash. So guys, what do you think of this story so far? Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!